Just kind of explain what step out of your box is basically, a lot of kids in middle school, they deal with cliques, they deal with the rumors, the peer pressure, the drama, and as a way to combat that, advisory units like ours will really help break down those boundaries and those walls that kids have built. We've geared ours towards like 7th grade, because by then they've probably got cliques built up, they've probably got that division. So what we do is we focus on the student, get to know themselves, then we get to them to get to know their peers, and then how to interact with each other. So the first day is who am I? It talks about pretty much who am I, like the kids don't really know. So they do stuff like taking personality quizzes. A lot of them you find on the internet are goofy, but some of them have some insight as to personality traits you might have. And then you write an I am poem, and it's pretty extensive, I didn't put it on there, but it's I am strong and free-spirited, and you go through and you say a bunch of things about you, and it's just really forcing them to identify about who they are and what they're all about. Day 2, they talk about priorities. So students learn how what priorities are and why they're important to have. So the priorities activity that I had, where they each get an envelope which has 10 pieces of paper in it, and they have different important things, like some priorities here that she has listed are like God, family, self, whatever you can read, and they put those in order. And everyone will have probably a different answer, and then they kind of do like a parent share, like, what kind of priorities they put really, up there, or which ones aren't really a priority and why. And then they would write a reflection at the end about like what is important to them and why they think it's really important to them.
Okay, day 3 is beating diversity. I don't know, probably a lot of you have done this activity where you get a different color bead for everything that represents you, so you kind of have a physical item to look down and know, hey, I'm different, So I know, let me see what I had written down for some of them. I created different ones. So like green if you are Caucasian, and this would obviously depend on the makeup of your class. You're going to have to add some different beads in there depending on the ethnicities, but clear if you're a girl, black if you're a boy, silver if you're an only child, purple if your parents are married. And it's just kind of a way for students to see like, hey, I'm different, but maybe you have some similarities with me. And I also had on that day kind of a funny little clip from The Office, the diversity day. The next activity is step back, step forward. And basically this is a way for students to kind of have a better understanding of one another, but they're not doing it like, it's still private sort of. It's an activity, we're gonna do it later. You get in a line and everyone starts at the same part, like okay, everybody's in a straight line, same place, thank you. And we would ask questions like, step back if you live in a neighborhood where it's safe, or step forward if you were able to go to a summer camp. So you're not looking, and preferably you would have the students closing their eyes so they can't see anyone around them. And then when you finish all the questions, you can look around and see, oh, there's a lot of adversity, whatever. And another activity that you can do is Hey Me Too, and it's just kind of an icebreaker that you could do in the beginning. And basically everyone stands in a large circle, and the teacher would start in the center and say, I was born in Illinois, and everyone else that was born in Illinois would have to run around and find a different place, and then whoever is left is in the middle, and they have to do the same thing. Day 5 is a partner activity and a poster, and basically students are going to be getting with a partner, and they're going to draw a huge Venn diagram on a poster, and they're going to have their separate, this is what I have, these are my characteristics, my traits, my life, and then the other student, and then where they meet in the middle, and then they would do just a presentation.
Okay, and then day 6 would be all about self-esteem, and like the students learn obviously what self-esteem is, why it's important to have high self-esteem, and I would start off the class with a YouTube clip on self-esteem, and it's one of those, dun dun dun, black, white letters, very intense, like statements, I guess, of a YouTube video. You've seen them. But, and then the next activity would be a beach ball activity. I don't know if any of you have done this in like workshops or anything, where somebody will blow up a beach ball all the way, and kind of explain that, this represents your self-esteem. And say something bad happens, you drop the ball, what happens? You bounce back, basically. And then students would say things that they maybe have gone through that would lower their self-esteem, like somebody says something mean to me, and you deflate it a little bit. Somebody started a rumor about me, you deflate it a little bit. And you do that until like the ball only has a little bit of air in it. And then you'd say, okay, this is your self-esteem now, and you drop the ball and it obviously doesn't bounce back. Kind of representing that if you have high self-esteem, that you can bounce back from anything. If you have low self-esteem, it keeps you down. So that's why it's really important to focus on your self-esteem. And then I am awesome is just some quick little thing that I came up with. A lot of kids don't say out loud, I am awesome. And a lot of kids are awesome, and they need to know that, and that has a lot to do with their self-esteem. So basically I'd have the kids stand in a circle, and one by one just say, my name is, like for example, my name is Sam, and I am awesome. And you just go around the circle, just kind of like the more they hear it out loud, the more they'll start to believe it instead of the negative things.
Okay, day 7 would be a value item show and tell, and basically you have to tell your students the day before, or maybe even a week before, so they don't forget, that they need to bring an item that it has value to them, some significance in their life, and they're going to come in and present it to the class. So, for example, I've done this activity before, and my grandpa used to collect model trains, and he made all of them personalized, and I had like one of the trains was Claire's Diner, and when he died I got that, so that's very special to me, and it's incorporating like every single member of my family, and that's a good way to remember them. So I might bring that in, and I don't know, Sam might bring in her baby blanket or something like that. And then at the end, so you'd have everybody do their show and tell, and at the end you'd have a partner write up and kind of like an interview and just recapping. Sam's baby blanket was important to her because she got it, it was almost, it survived through a fire or something like that. Day 8 is To Me, Love Me. And basically students are going to write a letter to themselves. It's kind of near the end of the unit. So they're going to write a letter to themselves about what they want to see in the next 2 years, in themselves, in society, anything like that. In their friends, I want to break down the cliques that exist in this school. I want to have higher self-esteem. And then at the end of that, they're going to decorate a box with, magazine clippings, newspapers, that show what is currently going on in the world, and they'll put all their letters in and seal it up, and in 2 years they'll get to look at them again when they go into high school.
Day 9 is If You Really Knew Me. Julie talked about it in one of our article reviews, and I thought that was a really cool idea, and it really mirrored a retreat I went on every year in high school, and it was really near and dear to my heart. So basically the objective would be that students would take pride in who they are and not be afraid to show it. Now that they know that they're awesome and they've said it out loud, they can really, they're not afraid to show it to other people. So the first activity would be like, if you really know me, you would know that. And it would just be a circle of sharing again. And usually advisories are pretty small, so it wouldn't take forever to do. And after they would do that, they would get a die cut of their few different kinds, and they would write, if you really knew me, you'd know that. And then they could just write it on the die cut, and then you'd have a bulletin board, and it would be anonymous. They wouldn't put their names on it. So you'd want to stress that, this is going to be public. You want to make sure it's something positive and something you don't mind people knowing. So that way it's just kind of a physical representation of who they are. And then the last day would kind of be summarizing a lot of what they did. So now that they've learned about their classmates and the value in each other, then now they can really tell about each other. On the first day, they'd be given a name, and that would be a person. For example, if I got Claire, on the very first day I'd get Claire's name, and I wouldn't tell anybody that name. It'd be secret. And what I would have to do is through the next 2 weeks through the unit, I would have to get to know Claire, and really not just, oh, she's nice and she, does community service. I would have to know a lot more about Claire, about her family, trying to really dig deep about who she is and what she's all about. And then on the last day, on day 10, what you share, your secret admiree, I guess you would call it, and tell something that you learned about them. And the teacher would stress that, once again, this is confidential, but you need to be appropriate, and you can't use the word nice because that's just generic. And then kind of what Kristen and Nancy were doing with the good feelings notes, that's what we called them on the retreat I went on. Basically, you write a little note to every single person in your class, and you make bags. and you stick in these good feelings. It could be a moment, it could be something you like about them, it could be just anything you share in common, it could be really anything, just a little note to that person. And then at the end, as a closing thing, in our group assessment or unit assessment would be a survey, basically, what they liked about the unit, what they didn't like, what they learned, etc.
So everyone needs to close their eyes. Trust us, you're not going to get hurt. Okay. Everyone close your eyes. Be aware of the stairs. All right, close your eyes, everyone. Okay. If you were ever embarrassed or ashamed of your clothes, your house, or your family car when growing up, take one step backwards. If you have immediate family members who are doctors, lawyers, or other professionals, take one step forward. If you ever tried to change your physical appearance, mannerisms, language, or behavior to avoid being judged or ridiculed, take one step backwards. If you studied the history and culture of your ethnic ancestors in elementary and secondary school, take one step forward. If your family had more than 50 books in the house when you were growing up, take one step forward. If you feel that your primary ethnic identity is American, take one step forward. Let's do one more. If you receive less encouragement in academics or sports from your family or from teachers because of your gender, take one step backwards. All right, so everyone open their eyes and kind of look around. Obviously, we're all in different places, so although you may not know what people step back and step forward for, you know that we're all different and we have all overcome adversity at some point in our lives.
Excellent.